A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, it is a period of staggering wealth inequality, trade monopolies, and workers without rights. Wait a minute, that wasn't a long time ago. That's like right now. From a giant corporation who doesn't treat their workers fairly comes a story about workers standing up to a giant corporation to make sure they're treated fairly. Oh, but also it's a musical by Alan Menken. Hello there, and welcome back to 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways that George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. I am your host, Sam Marchioni. Joining me today is Jasmine Garcia.
We won!
Sydney McGuy.
I was going to sing the note for Santa Fe, the infamous or famous, depending if you're a fan, note, but I can't do it. So, Santa Fe.
And Callie Castle.
Brooklyn.Ca!
You've never been to Brooklyn!
And perhaps the most appropriate thing to come back on a strike-related hiatus from, we're covering the 2017 filmed stage production of Disney's Newsies. This is a degree 5 because, of all things, I need to take a moment to pause here and take you through a truncated edition of a truly bizarre saga. When we originally ran our Star Wars degree Checker-inator earlier this year, Diane Howard was listed as a publicist for both Newsies and Solo on IMDb. In the time that it took for the strike to happen and for us to record this, Diane's credit was removed from IMDb, something which was only brought to our attention during the process of recording this episode. After we left, guest and friend of the podcast, Brian, did some digging and discovered that Diane Howard is actually a freelance journalist. She gets hired by Christian publications to review movies for how much they adhere to American evangelical fundamentalist propaganda concepts of family friendliness. I guess she thought that meant she could list it on her IMDb, but during the strike, someone finally caught on to her schemes and did a major overhaul of her page to remove these fake connections. As a result, the 2017 Newsies no longer officially qualifies as a degree 5 and should technically be moved to degree 6. Except I'm mad at everyone in this scenario, so I decided that, in an inverse of the logic that Disney's acquiring of Lucasfilm makes Luke and Leia Disney royalty, this still counts as a degree 5 because it was made during the first reign of the Disney Darth Sidious himself, Bob Iger. I don't like it any more than you do, but I was on a time crunch and, well, I didn't want to let my friends down. They were so excited for talking about Newsies, so yeah. Oopsie doodle. I'm going to be honest, I completely missed the Newsies train. I missed the window for the 1992 movie by not being in the target age demographic, and though I ostensibly was in the target age demographic for the Broadway musical adaptation, I don't know, I think maybe there were just too many white boys who all looked the same, and 2012 was not a year where I was paying as much attention to Broadway. If I'm remembering, 2012 was still when I was deep in my Phantom of the Opera phase, so that's where I was, but I know that's not the case for everybody here. So Jasmine, before we open the floodgates, would you like to share with the class?
Sure, I will provide the foreshadowing, if you will, because I knew of Newsies mainly because of a very early video from Lindsay Ellis, and also in high school, we actually did a medley of it, and I will say, I fell in love with the music with that medley. I had a great time singing it in my chorus. So I was actually pretty excited when a certain somebody wanted to introduce me to the musical. And imagine my disappointment, because from the first 5 minutes, I was already like, oh no, this is not well written at all. Great music, great actors, but the book is awful. And it wasn't until this rewatch that I realized why it just lost me within the first 5 minutes. It's too fucking early for an I Want song, but we'll get more into that.
I can hear Callie breathing menacingly, like Darth Vader menacingly, so I think they will kill me if I don't go to them next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Callie, go ahead.
Okay, so my first introduction to Newsies was actually 2014 when I was working at Walt Disney World on the college program internship. I worked at a very large retail store with a giant screen where they advertised all the Disney stuff because you must surround yourself with the Disney. It is the dark side. There is nothing else outside of Disney. Only Disney. And so they had an ad for all the Disney stuff. They played Let It Go 10 million gazillion times. And I still know the words 10 years later, having barely listened. But they also did ads for Disney on Broadway, where they had Aladdin, they had Lion King, and they had Newsies. And I saw those cute little tap dancing white boys enough times that I got curious. And I fell down into a dark, deep rabbit hole that I don't think I'll ever escape from.
I used to call it news. I actually have coined it Newsmageddon.
This is an accurate phase. I have cosplayed as the Delancey brothers and almost knocked an old lady down trying to get a photo with one of the Delancey brothers in cosplay at Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. I went full Delancey on us.
You really did.
It was an accident. She was in the way.
What the? Kelly, you are not doing yourself any favors here. Go ahead,
it was an accident, and I did apologize, okay? I did apologize to her. I immediately turned around and went, I am so sorry, Alex Brackett is right there, and ran over.
How many times did you end up seeing it?
14 times in 4 states, 7 times in my hometown, once in Richmond, Virginia, once in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I took a road trip to Santa Fe, 3 times in Tulsa, Oklahoma, matinee on Saturday, evening on Saturday, matinee on Sunday, and then twice closing weekend in Austin, Texas. Where
the cast members still know them by name.
My God. Sid, do you want to follow that?
Sorry.
Okay, so I knew of Newsies because I love musical theater. I'm a nerd, and I'm a history nerd, and also the West Side Story film, the newest version of it. A lot of the cast were in Newsies, particularly Mike Feist. Ben Cook was in it, and Ben Cook actually was Riff in the 2020 Broadway revival.
Oh, I forgot about
cool.
That. But yeah, no, there's a whole post that tells you all of the former Newsies that were in this movie.
The answer is a lot.
Well, if you want to find white boys who can sing and dance.
They go Billy Elliot. Ben Cook went from Billy Elliot to Racetrack Higgins to Riff, and also to other West Side Story boys.
I have to admit, for this being my first exposure to Newsies, if we don't count, I have also been involved in performances of the score. Jazz and I both did Seize the Day for a Worlds Elsewhere Gala fundraiser.
Yes,
that was fun.
Neighbors to neighbors, father to son, one for all and all for one.
We're at the same hat.
I also don't know how I feel about this, and I think it does come down to the book. Going from Howard Ashman to Harvey Fierstein is not the lateral move you would think it was, and Harvey Fierstein is not necessarily a bad librettist, but this ain't it, kid.
See, for me, all the music, for the most part, I really enjoy. I agree that, yeah, no, Fierstein versus Ashman, you can't compare, but...
No.
Like, I enjoy pretty much the entire cast album. It's, again, my issues are mainly with the book. I have softened up to it to a great extent, but...
I know that it's a point of contention that this pro shot, it's the tour cast, correct? But they brought back the original Broadway cast like 5 years later.
Oh, Sam, you're gonna regret this.
Okay. So, at the time that the filming occurred, Morgan Keane was playing Catherine Plummer. Joey Barrio, I am probably butchering his name, which makes me ashamed as a fancy, but I am not good at names, was playing Jack Kelly. Stephen Michael Langston, as I want to say his name was playing Davy, and Andy Richardson was playing Crutchy. Now, Morgan, Steven, and Joey are not in the pro shoot. They were replaced by Jeremy, Ben, and Kara. Andy is still in the pro shoot, but he does not play Crutchy, he plays a scab. He is the scab that goes, who are you going to trust, them or them? He was in the original Broadway cast as well, but took over for AKB in the passing of the Crutch Ritual, and was the closing Crutchy for both the Broadway company and the touring company. And there were a lot of people who got screwed over with the way they did the casting for this pro shoot that I have a lot of problems with. Ben Cook was not the racetrack Higgins at the time of the filming of the pro shoot. They brought him back because the girls loved him and he had been a fan favorite since the tour opened. There were a few other people who were brought back just because they were fan favorites. Like
Disney screwing over actors.
What a
How
concept!
unexpected.
I know.
What
By
did you say?
unexpected, I mean completely expected.
Well, see, if I had known you were going to do that, I would have done my Doofenshmirtz. Sorry.
Joey, Morgan, and Steven were in the audience of the filming of the pro shoot. They are not in it at all.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and Joey was one of the few Jacks that wasn't white, right?
He was actually
Kelly?
the only non-white Jack Kelly in the official casting of the Broadway and Equity Tour.
He is
Well,
Filipino.
that just makes me even madder because I'm gonna come in with a hot take. Jeremy Jordan's too old for this role.
Oh, that's one of my problems.
I've said that how many times, Jess?
Oh, the limit does not exist. Callie has ranted about it. And listen, you know it's bad when Callie even says that Kara Lindsay should not have been in a thing. Because if there's one thing that they and I agree on is that we fucking love Kara Lindsay. I actually got to see her in concert at Epcot earlier this year. Even got to briefly meet her. Lovely lady. Very talented. Still too fucking old for this role now.
And Lamb Cuddles has no chemistry.
Yes, they
So
call
do
the
you?
really? Interesting.
The fandom calls them Lamb Cuddles.
So
Because-
do you want to chime in on this, or are we just scaring you?
Yes.
No.
I'm
I
sorry.
was just thinking it's kind of like pairing Harold Hill and Marion. Depending on how old like Harold Hill looks, the relationship looks creepy and it looks weird. That's how I feel about Catherine and Jack Kelly, because I was like, how old is she supposed to be? She's a reporter.
Yeah, that's
And
the other thing. I think they did that thing of having her hair down to make her look young and girlish, and I'm like, you're a working woman in the late Gilded Age / turn of the century. Put your hair up. Put your hair up.
I believe, according to from what we've heard of Word of God, is that she is supposed to be early 20s.
Then why is her hair not up?
Because since when did Disney give a shit about period accuracy?
Why is she wearing all this pink?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with wearing pink.
No, she made me love
That's not-
pink. Jazz will tell you that.
That's true.
I
And
will say,
Jack
I kind of
is-
wish Meta had been in a little more pink, because it looked fucking fabulous on her.
She's a queen.
Aisha DeHaas. She deserved more than one musical number. She was great.
I believe her name is Aisha. God, I remember how to
Aisha.
pronounce her name. Aisha, yeah.
Aisha?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Aisha.
the actress' name is Aisha. I can't remember her
Yeah.
last name though. Let me
I
look
have
it up.
photos with her. She's lovely. They're all lovely, but... Well, except for one of them, but that's not the point.
Yeah, she looked great. She sounded great. I wanted more of her.
Just wanted to add that the only really important Black character is a nightclub singer who is based on a real nightclub singer, and I do appreciate that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, but
And it's
There
definitely
were-
cool that I think she was white in the 92 movie, right? So
She was, yeah.
it's nice that they made that change.
yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead. I interrupted.
No. I was just trying to remember that nightclub singer's name. The person she's based off of it is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important to highlight like entertainment of that
Oh,
era.
found her. Ada Overton Walker.
Yeah, thank you. And
Or Aida, maybe. Not sure, but oh, she looks fabulous. I love her hair.
yes, beautiful. Passed away tragically young, but yes.
Oh.
But it's important to highlight entertainment of that era, and especially Black entertainment, which was very popular, especially in the vaudeville type circuit. I do think what they could have done better, in terms of diversity, is highlight Black newsboys, because there were Black newsboys, especially in New York City, and I'm not saying they have to do like a full intersectional like work piece. I'm not
Yeah.
saying they necessarily have to do that. I would
I mean, if you're going to do
obviously
that, Harvey Fierstein is not who you get.
I would love it if they kind of highlighted, if they did have Black newsboys, highlight maybe like a little bit of like the differences they face, because they are both poor, but there's a difference between white and poor and being Black and poor, if that makes sense.
For sure. And there was one.
Oh, absolutely.
There was one Newsies actor that was.
I think it was Specs.
It was Specs, yeah. And as I mentioned with Callie, the London production did actually cast a Black Jack, which is pretty cool. But you're right. Like, it could, like, they don't even necessarily need to delve into it further, but just diversifying who you cast as these Newsies would still probably be a better reflection of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then again, this is Disney, and I feel like I shared this in our thing, the fan art of Finn and Ray as Jack and Catherine. And I picture that and I'm like, oh, I see it. But then I think about Disney and everything they did to push Finn and Ray apart, and I'm like,
don't get me started.
Racist gonna racist. It's fucking infuriating.
Yeah, but if they have, I was gonna say, if they have a Black Jack and like a white Catherine,
yep,
you know,
it definitely
like,
emphasizes the class difference for sure. And yep, Catherine is white in that production. They actually have some, from what little I have seen, they have some solid chemistry actually.
Do they not do chemistry reads anymore at auditions?
I think part of the problem is it's just not a good script. I think it's just not a very good.
True.
It's a very not well written love story.
This has become the shit on Harvey Fierstein episode,
and I feel bad.
I love Harvey. I love
I'm sorry,
Songs
Harvey.
trilogy. I think you're very important for Broadway history.
We called Howard Ashman out for the racism in Little Shop. We can call Harvey Fierstein out for this.
Yes, definitely. What is the best song in the musical, in your opinion?
Seize the Day.
Yeah.
Watch What Happens.
I agree. I agree with Sam. For me, it's Seize the Day. I also think I kind of have a connection to it because I had to perform it in choir when I was in middle school.
It's such a great choral song. I wasn't overly impressed by the score. Like, it doesn't seem like it was Alan Menken's best work to me, and when I looked to see what else this was up against for best score at the 66th Tonys that it won, it's like, it was Bonnie and Clyde, One Man, Two Governors, and Peter and the Starcatcher. I'm like, well, yeah, that's not much fucking competition.
Oh, wow.
Carol Lindsay was robbed of a Tony nomination. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk of this year.
Well, as we all know, award shows are bullshit until the person you like wins.
Correct. Watch What Happens is the I'm Not Getting Married Today of Disney. It's fast. I've had to sing it at full and slow speed. It is it's harder than it looks.
It's a hard song, I will grant you that. I don't know if I'd go so far as to compare it to
That's
I'm
it's
Not
the
Getting
Disney
Married.
version. It's the Disney version. Like, it's still easier than a lot of other other songs, but
I don't know if you can fully say that when Disney has now, unfortunately, added Lin-Manuel Miranda to their roster to the point where he's doing stuff like the Scuttlebutt.
Okay, at the time that this was published, you could say that.
Another thing that gave me pause about, am I the only one who thought there were too many reprises or recycled tunes? Like, it felt a lot more like this was the same 5 songs getting done again and again and again.
You're not wrong, but that's not inherently a bad thing. There are a lot of really good musicals that kind of do that sort of thing.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking more Les Mis than Andrew Lloyd Webber, because we all know.
I mean, yeah, but like,
Santa Fe Reprise, prelude, prologue, I guess would be the better word. Yes, the prologue. I love that song, but I think there's a better way to open it, like Jazz was talking about with me last night.
It's too fucking soon in that show.
I don't
for
know
an
who the
I
fuck
Want
you
song.
people are.
Thank you, which is exactly what I told you when you first showed it to me.
Listen, I was a mess.
I mean, I think I've made this observation as the Percy Jackson trailers have been coming out. It kind of feels like this was a musical that was first and foremost made for fans of the source material, which would in this case be the 1992 movie, as opposed to the original books that got made into movies that actually, no, the movies don't exist.
Ironically enough, the 92 fansies pretty much don't like the Broadway show.
They really don't.
They don't like that what's his face reporter man was replaced with Catherine, and that Sarah was combined into Catherine.
Bill Pullman's character in the 92
That
Newsies.
dude.
And they wish Sarah was back.
Which I'm fine with Sarah coming back. Davy's mom was actually in the paper mill version. Davy's mom comes on stage.
Ain't nothing wrong with adding more women to this, Harvey.
Thank you,
Harvey.
Ben Fankhauser told me that one. Thanks, Ben. Did me a solid.
Like, to be honest, my humble opinion is instead of being love interests, Jack and Catherine should have just been MLM, WLW solidarity. Catherine could have gotten with Sarah. Jack could have gone with somebody in the Newsies gang.
Anybody.
Take your pick.
I don't know. It didn't really seem like there was a lot of chemistry between the actors in general, which is especially weird when you consider that some of these actors worked together for a really long time. But
Ben Fankhauser was the only lead who had been originally cast as the lead who made it all the way through the Broadway production. He was only out for an injury.
I do remember seeing Tumblr jokes about the apocalypse will come and Ben will still be playing Davy in Newsies.
There's actually a video that his college made where he was sitting at the mirror of the guy who plays Davy in the Broadway production that his college is doing, and Ben Fankhauser sits at his desk and goes, "Go and look it up. The poor guy's head is spinning." And the guy walks in and is like, "That's oh, sorry." Like, it's so cringe, but so funny. Like the fandom loves their poor guy's head is spinning bits because Ben used to torment AKB as his dressing suite mate with that warm up.
Oh. I guess that's as good. I did not much care for Andrew Keenan Bolger. I don't care for Crutchy in general. I don't think Crutchy's a very good or well-conceived character. I get that it's historically accurate ableism to call a character that and to use the ableist slur that they did, but I'm also not a fan of Andrew Keenan Bolger does not have any kind of disability in his leg.
No.
It's so obvious that he's faking it. It's so...
You mean when he jumps over his leg and sees the day? What the hell was that?
I love the newspaper choreography in Seize the Day. I love a lot of what Chris Catelli does, but Crutchy to me just reeks of
weirdness.
A poorly conceived idea.
I get that he was in the movie, but that could have been improved on. It's been 20 years. It's time to...
And they added and subtracted so much from the movie anyway, so they could have updated some things. Maybe give him a real name?
Literally anything. Bueller.
Have him be like, my name is Tommy!
We call him Danny.
That'd be fun, actually. Yeah, him using the crutch as a weapon is one of the best parts of his character. Keep that, absolutely.
But yeah, no, AKB is the weakest Crutchy. I have seen 3 Crutchies live. I saw Zachary Sale, I saw Ben Cook, and I saw Andy Richardson, all as Crutchy, and AKB is by far the weakest. Your letter from the refuge defines how I see your crutchy, which was the best addition from Broadway to the tour.
I'm happy that a lot of actors and I think not necessarily like behind the scenes, because there's still an issue with that, with casting disabled actors to play disabled roles, characters who are disabled. But I don't know if Andrew actually talked about it, but I know I was thinking about how in Glee, Kevin talks about how like I should not have been able to like play Artie. I should not have been able to play a disabled character because I'm not disabled. And I think that's a conversation that like needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
I think if your actor is not disabled, if you can't make accommodations for disabled actors, because that was actually a problem with Ride the Cyclone. In the McCarter Theater production, the actor who plays Ricky was disabled, and that actor got fired because of their disability and lack of accommodations for it. I and then there's also discussion about like historical accuracy. Is it necessary? Is it like I do agree they needed to humanize like his character more. Like you could have given that character an actual name. I think if you cut out the character, that would have been a whole another thing, because it would have been like, well, why did you like get rid of this disabled character? Why can you just add more? Kind of like how with some adaptations of musicals, like with Phantom of the Opera, they got rid of the Persian character because I guess they didn't want to deal with racial stereotyping. So
AKB didn't specifically talk about that issue, but he did talk about some of the issues of getting around on the towers and getting around backstage with the
and it's not a very accessible
It's not. I've been on that stage in front of those towers, and they are a terrifying monstrosity to stand in front of.
I would fully break an ankle on one of those things.
And the fact that they're running around
most of that choreography.
But yeah, Sydney, I have to agree with you. I wouldn't want to necessarily cut him out.
I love him.
Not even just because it'd be cutting out a disabled character, but because he kind of is a major part of Jack's motivation throughout the story. So you'd be kind of left with a pretty gaping hole when you think about it.
But that's also like a problem. It's emotional shorthand to give Jack a disabled friend to rescue, because after the letter from the refuge, Crutchy's out of the story for the rest of the second act until he comes back at the end.
Broadway, he's not in Act 2 at all. Before the tour, when they added, because Letter from the Refuge is not an original song for the Broadway production. It was not added until the first national tour with Zachary Sale. So in Act 2 of the Broadway production, you just don't see AKB again until the very end.
On a level, I kind of respect that, like, live that good Fontaine life backstage.
Right? I was thinking of, like, Patti LuPone's bit about what a great deal it is to play Fontaine.
Yeah, so that was like, and I love Letter from the Refuge. It has a really soft spot for me. Like, it's so sweet, and like, it gives Crutchy some development that he massively needed. That he also wanted to go. He wanted, like, he cares about his family. He cares about these people, and we actually get to see his thoughts, his motivations outside of everyone else.
It is still,
maybe it would have been better to give him like a Santa Fe reprise. Making Santa Fe the opening is dumb, I agree with you there, but like adding Crutchy into the Santa Fe, like, I kind of feel like I'm going back to that when we were talking about The Little Mermaid, and I'm like, Eric needs a Part of Your World reprise, and I'm like, Crutchy needs a Santa Fe variation, it just shouldn't be the first time we hear Santa Fe.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there, which again adds to my idea, the whole thing of he and Jack they kind of need each other in this story.
The codependency is real.
Exactly.
Oh, they are. It's so bad. It's
like
so
I
bad.
said, make it gay, you cowards. Everyone pretty much ships the Newsies together anyway.
I was I'm looking up like disability tropes just to see where crutchy lies.
Oh,
And
there's so
it
many.
was
There's so many.
it was inspirationally disadvantaged was one.
Oh, so much.
Obfuscating disability, and it's like sometimes a person with an apparent disability will be more than they seem. I'm sure there are more, but those are the ones that stood out to me. Or like bullying the disabled.
But no, like I love all of those boys. Like they are all so talented. They work so hard on that show, and a bunch of them got screwed over in the pro shoot. And I'm going to sing their praises for it.
I wonder if any of them got picked up to be part of Schmigadoon, because Chris Gattelli, who choreographed this, is also the choreographer of Schmigadoon.
I know Andrew Wilson and Joshua Burrish went on to do Cats on Broadway.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson actually came out to see me only at Stage Door in New York. He could not stage door, but he saw my face, and he came out and said hello, and then ran back inside.
Aww.
He was the dance captain swing. He
I guess
played
some
Hannah
people know
once.
them.
He played Hannah once. And Hannah is actually the real life wife of Pulitzer.
Hannah's the secretary lady?
Yep, that's his real life wife.
Okay, because I didn't really look too much into that. I was looking to see if there was actually a Catherine Pulitzer, and there was, but she died at the
When
age
she
of
was
2.
2.
Yep. So this is almost an Anastasia type deal for her, I guess.
Oh, Lord.
And interestingly enough, yeah, they're definitely trying to kind of do a Dimitriania with them, and they miserably fail, in my opinion.
Oh, God,
The bicker kiss. We know you hate it, Sam.
I truly, deeply do. And I also, like, I'm sorry, that was stalker behavior in the theater.
Yes.
Jack,
Yes, it was.
Jack, I'm going to punch you in the face. I love you, but I'm going to punch you in the face.
Which is a shame because the effect they did where he was sketching her was so gorgeous. I wish it was associated with a better ship.
Fun
I wish
fact.
Meta had a better song.
That is true.
Yeah, that too.
It was a clever song, but it
was cute. But
I got the feeling that Aisha could have been doing so much more with her voice than what that song was giving her.
Can we talk about the fact that the step aside Romeo, literal Romeo, has more boundaries and understands no better than Jack Kelly?
Yeah.
And
that is a running discussion among the fansies, like that Romeo understood no from Catherine better than Jack did.
Yeah. And I just do like it. Another thing that was really gorgeous and really sucks that it's associated with that ship. I really like Something to Believe In. I think it's a really sweet song. I know for a fact Callie wants it played at their wedding someday.
I don't know that I liked the song very much, but I loved the backdrop. It looked very Van Gogh.
That too, yeah.
Which works for Jack. But like,
I wonder if I'd like Jack better if he were depressed and cut off an ear.
Can we talk about, like, I loved Catherine's kind of rich obliviousness. Are you working your way through art school? Hun bun, my
Baby.
beloved, my darling, sweetheart.
You can't do that now.
What makes you, why would you, my beloved, my darling, my sweet, he is homeless and sad.
Higher education is a pyramid scheme. Please don't do it if you value your sanity.
What Sam said.
Yeah.
I love Catherine. I think she's a very interesting character. And my favorite moment watching Newsies every time is, I trust you know my daughter Catherine. And a hush fell over the crowd. And the gasps. They're so fun. Nobody sees it coming.
Well, maybe nobody sees it coming, but I don't think the actor playing Pulitzer pulled it off. There was no oomph to this guy. It's kind of the same problem I have with both Josh Groban and Naomi Tveit, picturing them as Sweeney. I'm like, where's the menace? Where's my Patrick Page chilling my bones?
Okay, fun story. Patrick Page almost played Pulitzer.
Yeah, that all tracks. Do you think maybe the reason Pulitzer is boring is because they don't want to make their bad CEO character, like, too obvious? And I mean, let's be clear, this is not Brennan Lee Mulligan running a D&D campaign where the villain is obviously capitalism.
If only.
Oh. You're
Brennan Lee
making Nunzio nervous. Why is his name Nunzio? That is such a cliche name. This is painful.
The closest we get is the whole thing of like talking shit about Roosevelt because he's against football. And to be clear, Roosevelt's
violent.
Roosevelt is probably, both the Roosevelts were probably among the most progressive labor-oriented presidents. Mm-hmm. Both of them still had their issues with colonialism and racism,
etc.
For that, they're terrible and I hate them. But Teddy Roosevelt especially was known to be a friend to workers. He was famously a trust buster who was breaking up monopolies left and right. If Teddy Roosevelt had his way, Disney probably never would have been able to acquire Lucasfilm.
Probably not, no.
Unfortunately, we live in a post-Reagan hellscape. Seriously, though, this material is such a union-friendly piece of work, at least in theory, and yet it's yet another tentacle in the capitalist Leviathan hell monster that is Disney, and I'm like, what?
I mean, that is part of why the 92... I feel like that is part of the issue with the 92 movie, and I'm not saying that's the reason it flopped, but I'm sure at least some people were just
Christian Bale dancing flopped. Christian Bale dancing is the reason it flopped, which leads to your joke.
Okay, but Jeremy Jordan can't dance either. This is a grand tradition of Jack Kellys that cannot dance.
He literally disappears during the dance numbers.
I did enjoy the bit of, like, all the Nepo babies being like, no, fuck our parents.
Yes, that was delightful.
You must be the son of William Randolph Hearst, and proud to be part of your revolution.
Just delightful.
Nepo babies are best when they are taking their Nepo parents to task. I do appreciate that Catherine had that whole thing of not operating under the name Catherine Pulitzer. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate the reality that as soon as she went against Daddy Dearest, he completely cut her off and boxed her in, because that is also very true to life. Oh, yeah. All that was missing was for him to declare that she has female hysteria, and we must send her off to a sanatorium where they will give her a lobotomy.
Oh, God.
You have to Rosemary Kennedy her.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that poor woman.
God. That poor woman. That always makes me so sad. Also, Sid has a point. Nepo babies are best when they're Liza Minnelli. You have a very good point.
You have a very good point, Sid.
But... And Carrie Fisher.
Yes, Carrie Fisher did great, too. But... Catherine walking in, why is everyone afraid of Brooklyn? And everyone's like, oh my God, there's a girl. Everybody calm down. Everybody cool. Be cool. Everybody be cool.
That is such a teenage boy thing.
I mean, it's especially funny when you know that there are some productions that do have girlsies.
Yeah, the London production, all of the Brooklyn Newsies were girls.
I love that.
Brooklyn was a bunch of girls. But anyway, I have a lot of thoughts. Like, some of the background things that happened are very interesting. I have seen this show enough times that I've watched a lot of weird background stuff. Like the body double. If you watch That's Rich, in the very background on the left-hand side where Jack Kelly is sitting for about 2 minutes, you could see his understudy who plays Morris Delancey body doubling for Jeremy Jordan.
Why?
I assume they had to shoot some pickups.
I think it was pickups, or Jeremy Jordan had another project I believe he was working on at the time. And so he was doing both projects at the same time.
That would have been Supergirl, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Supergirl was a thing.
Yes, I think he was doing both at the same time, so they just used him to body double for that moment, because nobody's actually watching Jeremy Jordan in that corner. Unless you're me. There was a moment that I really loved, this very small moment, blink and you miss it, when Wiesel says that the paper prices have all increased. Oscar has a panicked look as he looks at his uncle, because that is his uncle. That is canon. Mm-hmm. He has raised them. Their parents ditched them. We know that their dad was a trolley worker.
Guess he didn't take care of me.
Because
ain't your dad one of the obsesses.
Yeah.
Okay, then Harvey Fierstein did not do a good enough job making that clear for me, a first-time viewer.
Yeah, Harvey? No, because at the gate, you beat up didn't you take money to beat up striking trolley workers? It's honest work. Ain't your I take care of the guy who takes care of me. Ain't your dad one of the strikers? I guess he didn't take care of me.
No, I got that part, but I didn't get the part where Wiesel is their uncle.
I don't remember where that came in, but I know that that's like I think that's a movie thing.
I think that's in the movie.
That it just didn't translate well, but it's just kind of been like pushed
you're
in.
not wrong.
You're
Okay,
not
but
wrong, Sam.
Another thing, I don't think the Wiesel Weasel thing needed to be brought over.
No!
I'm not saying anti-Semitism didn't happen back then. Obviously it did, but also, like,
It's Disney.
most of these Newsies probably would have been Jewish and Irish and Italian.
I'm pretty sure
and
Davey's
people of
canonically
color.
Jewish.
He is. Because every year around the holiday season, the fansies all rally together to say, don't put Davey in a fucking Christmas sweater, put him in a fucking Hanukkah sweater.
His last name is Jacobs, so that tracks.
Don't put anybody in a Christmas sweater. Christmas sweaters are dumb.
Hey.
You're gonna
I
offend
like
Jess,
them
but
a
no.
little bit.
I'm gonna put my PSA in here.
No,
Fansies.
I'm sorry. They're dumb and they're ugly by design. Has the kid who played Les gone on to do anything?
I know that some of them have. I know that
Yeah, it's been 6 years. He could have.
Ethan Turner. I know that
He was
God.
cute.
He was adorable.
He was fine. He is not my favorite Les. I've seen like a gazillion of them.
Is there anything we haven't covered yet that we could cover? Because that's another thing. I feel like this is
King
a
of New
musical
York?
that's very short on content.
King
It
of New
is.
York. Jazz has King of New York thoughts.
Your friends are either missing or in the refuge. I don't care if you're on the front of the paper. This is not the time for a dance number.
I get the logic of needing a pick-me-up after that bummer of an act ending, plus the bummer of the opening with the letter, but Howard Ashman would never.
I love King of New York, but Racetrack, you're being an asshole.
Yeah, like, and in fairness, he's kind of an asshole throughout this whole thing, but...
That's why they ship him with Spot.
I have no idea which one of them is which.
Spot.
The only one I can really identify is Romeo, unfortunately, and that's purely because he's Asian.
Well, what about Specs?
Well, I barely even clocked Specs, because it feels like Specs kind of disappears into the background apart from, like, that one thing. I think it was during The World Will Know, when he's up on the...
No, that's Seize the Day. Why are we sending the man who wears glasses to do Lookout? Why are we sending the kid who wears glasses to do Lookout?
Because the glasses make him see better. No, they don't. They are probably hurting his nose and behind his ears, and they probably aren't the right prescription for him.
And I lost my shoe! That's also Specs. This poor kid is going through it. He's wearing terrible glasses and he lost his shoe. But Racetrack is the one who goes, the world is your oyster.
Ah, yes.
I love him.
That whole thing, it feels almost like they should have made the news and done King of New York, and then the strike, riot, suppression thing happened.
That would actually... I think I've said that before when Callie and I discussed how the structure of the story is weak. I remember that I used to be kind of an asshole and say this was basically the boy band of Broadway musicals.
It feels like this could have been one act. That's the theater version of this could have been an email. This could have been a one act. But if it's a one act, then there's less time for people to be in the lobby buying merchandise and drinking wine out of sippy cups.
You
fancy clam with the poil inside.
Which boy band would Newsies be?
Backstreet Boys. They live on the back of the streets.
Hey. I will say, well, yes, Sam, you are probably right. There are too many reprises. Sid has informed me that there are apparently 8. That is quite a lot. I'm pretty sure Les Mis did not even have that many. But
Les Mis probably had more, but it at least broke it up as variations of, like...
Yeah.
Les Mis had, like, 16.
Like, Beggar at the Feast is Master of the House, but they have different names.
It's a little different, so you're right. With that said, I do really love... Because I already love Watch What Happens. I've discussed this. It is a writer's block mood. And also, it's so much fun to perform.
My writer's block mood is hard to be the bard, but...
Oh, that too. That's also a very good one. But I also really do enjoy the Watch What Happens reprise. Because I feel like the both of them kind of do illustrate how rough it is being aware that something needs to change, but not being 100% trying to kind of hype yourself up into doing what will hopefully cause things to change. Like, yeah, That is also a mood.
I loved Jack's little cartoon drawing that he did on the back of right before Watch What Happens reprise. Woof, that hit hard.
He'll probably go on to be a political cartoonist who then completely disrupts a different movie about a political movement. If you don't understand that joke, you need to go back and watch my archives of videos regarding a certain Iron-Jawed Angels. It's just, I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. Go watch my video about Iron-Jawed Angels and how much I fucking hate Patrick Dempsey being in it. Why is Patrick Dempsey the sexiest man alive right now? I don't get it.
I sent you that headline. He is
I
a bad
know you
and
sent
he
me
is
that
alive.
headline. That does not make my questions any less questiony.
But it does agree with you.
I could almost understand this back in the heyday of Grey's Anatomy, but anyway.
I would understand more if any of the cast of Newsies was declared sexiest man alive.
Oh,
Even
I wish it
Jeremy
wasn't.
Jordan, who I think goes through most of this thing with serial killer energy.
He does. Like, okay, Jeremy
He
Jordan,
has, like,
I know you
emo
can.
eyeliner.
Jeremy, I know you can be romantic. What are you saying with this? Can't you see it in my eyes?
What the fuck was that? That was like, I know you're talented, Jeremy Jordan. I know you can play charming. What was this?
That scene was physically painful. Kara looked like she wanted to yeet herself off the stage.
Bring me back to my husband, please.
I always thought Jeremy Jordan would be a good Tony in West Side Story.
I mean, he's done covers of Something's Coming, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I could see him doing it.
He's a little
I prefer
old
to see
for
him
it
as
now,
Riff
but
now, but
he's a little old for both of those. But
Yeah, he's kind of aged out of the West Side Story now. Oh god, it's only a matter of time before somebody says,
definitely.
hey, maybe he should be in Moulin Rouge. And I'm like, oh god.
Mike Feist it's so weird to have seen Mike Feist's growth because I was a fan of him in 2012 when he played Morris, and I've just been watching him grow since he was in Dear Evan Hansen. Now he's been in West Side. Like, it's so weird to have seen him in this tiny itty bitty baby part.
And now his career is skyrocketing because
he's in a movie with Zendaya now.
Good for him. You know what? I might have been more interested in the Wonka movie if a newsie were playing Willy Wonka instead of Timothy Chalamet.
Oh my god.
Timotei.
I'm sorry, but Chalamet to me always looks a little bit like he was just created in the white boy simulator to appeal to the most Tumblr girls.
You're not wrong. And I fortunately have aged out of it. I just know. I can feel my inner teenager being all, oh my goodness.
He's
But thankfully,
pretty.
I've been able to fight her off. For the most part.
If they rebooted Newsies as a movie, they would probably cast Chalamet as Jack.
Oh god,
I hate
That would
it.
be another instance where he doesn't necessarily need to dance.
again,
hate
the
it.
grand tradition.
If we have nothing else to say about the actual movie, I think the time has come to ask, is the Force with it? Jasmine?
In spite of my gripes with the story, it is still a pretty entertaining time. Like, if you try not to think too hard about how the romance doesn't make sense, and the plot structure is just kind of wobbly, you could still have a pretty good time with a lot of talented actors singing some pretty catchy songs. The Force is mildly with it.
Sid?
I think the story could use some work. There's still time, so you could always fix it. The people are still alive. I didn't mean for that to sound like a joke. To sound like a diss. I'm sorry to the creative team involved if you're watching, but I think the Force is with it. I think it's a good time. It looks fun to do. I think that's important when you're looking at a show too. Like, this looks fun. They look like they're having fun.
The Force is with it.
Wow, what a surprise.
And I think I have to be the dissenting voice. Like,
Okay.
I get the appeal. I get why a lot of girlies like it.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know, it did not do enough to hook me. I like the bones, but I don't like the meat.
It does have good bones, yes.
So, who has things they would like to plug?
Starting in 2024, I will be doing a podcast called Postcards from Mystic Falls. We're going to go back and revisit On the Heels of the Twilight Renaissance, the Vampire Diaries universe, doing a rewatch of all 8 seasons of the Vampire Diaries, 5 seasons of the originals, and 4 seasons of Legacies from 2011 to 2022, and revisiting the problematic and best elements of it all, and reminding ourselves of what it was like to be a teenager in high school. And also go donate to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS if you see a production in the next few weeks. Donate to the correct red bucket.
All right, Sid? Yeah.
Yes, I have a long one.
Okay. I don't have any shows or anything right now or any podcasts that I'm featured in, but you can follow me on X. It is
You don't have to call it that.
Peace out.
It's okay to dead name the website, especially since it's run by a transphobe. It's okay.
This is a safe space.
Okay, the website that shall not be named.
Oh, that's worse. Twitter. We're talking about Twitter.
On second thought, you don't even have to follow me on there because it's dead anyway. But you can follow me. You can follow me on Instagram. It is _Sidward _ tentacles _
Adorable. I love it.
All
Love it.
All right, and you
Jazz,
can
your turn.
All right, and well, first off, let's get it out of the way. Still donate to the Actors Fund. They're still struggling post-strike. Call your representatives to call for a ceasefire.
Yes.
And you can find for the more fun stuff, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and TikTok at Faye Riviera. And I have the sibling podcast of this here podcast called Denitri Telling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. And now that the strike is over, we got a lot of fun new shit coming up, especially with the holiday season coming up.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Can I plug in something else?
Of course.
Just
go
really
ahead.
quickly. I'm gonna be so quick. Just a little PSA, a little announcement for Palestine and Congo. You don't have to donate, but you do. I would suggest to just listen to the people actually affected by this, people who have family, people who are currently living in Palestine and experiencing this. Videos, even though they may be graphic and they may be triggering, I think they are important to see because it shows the true horrors of it, and it shows that the world cannot look away. And there is a filter for Palestine. It's called Filter for Good. There are, I believe, 2 filters that you can use, and they take about 5 to 10 seconds to use. And they raise money for Palestine. You can post it publicly, you can post it privately. I believe you can post it even on other social media platforms, and they help raise money for Palestine. Just pay attention and listen. That's all I think everyone who is in this situation asks for, really.
I will co-sign the support for both the people of Palestine and the people of Congo. And I will also point out that this is Native American Heritage Month, so if you live anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, but also in other areas that were forcibly colonized, you can go to Native-Land.Ca. You can look up which ancestral lands you inhabit, and oftentimes there are also links to those indigenous sovereign nations that you can then donate to. I have in the past given to the Native Massachusetts people and also to the Native American Rights Fund, because we are very much living in the benefits of those atrocities, and sins of the father are something we have to all account for. We are all Nepo babies who must stand up to the empire that we were born into.
And you can check out my YouTube channel, La Femme Fictionale, for feminist media critiques. Find me on Patreon, Twitter, and Instagram at FemmeFictionale, and on TikTok at FictionaleFemme. Our theme music is provided by Refractory Period, the two girls, one synth pop sensation. You can follow them on Instagram at Refractory Period the band. To support this podcast, please subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave reviews, and share with your friends to boost our visibility.
And normally this is where I would go into my spiel about the Chance Cube, but since we are now rolling into December, I think that in honor of when Star Wars movies came out, it's time to go back to actual Star Wars content set in that galaxy far, far away.
Yay!
Yay!
Finally, yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Yeah, because we're going to be able to see Han and Leia's relationship develop. We're going to be able to see Luke find out the big plot twist and talk about what it would have been like to be a fly on the wall in that situation. Sam,
We're
going to
get to
see me like that.
Why are we
Sam,
not?
Why are you looking at us like that?
Why
Sam,
are we
it's
being
Empire, right?
Sam, why are we Sam, are you
Oh my god, it's December, Sam! You better not be doing what I think you're doing!
Sam, you're not pushing us to the compactor, right? Right?
I wish you all a very happy Life Day.